getting himself, keeping himself, I should say, in tip-top shape. And as I mentioned, his record with the Australian is by far the best in all the majors.
3 times he's won it, and this is how he got. Only Escudé, the Frenchman, he played a good match. Escudé, didn't he? Got a set from him. Otherwise, it's been all Andre.
Guillermo Correa in the round of 16 said no mas. He had a little blister on his foot and was just getting pounded. And
a little blister.
Yeah, exactly. Did not want to take his punishment.
Wayne Ferreira is 31. He lives in Berkeley, California, but he's from South Africa. And you were talking about the lion's den here that he may be in, Agassi's lion's den, Patrick. He likes the lions. He likes the... he says that the best vacation you can take is go back to South Africa, go out in one of those beautiful places, look at some of the animals. He's an animal lover.
Yeah, well, he likes it in Australia too, Cliff. You just saw his record here has also been very strong. Robredo, he went down a set there. Kratos real easily. The big one was against Marty Fish, where Marty Fish melted down up 4-1 in the 4th. But Ferreira, you know, he's much more composed player now, Mary, than he was. I remember when I was on the tour, I played a couple of times against Wayne. He always felt like that at some point mentally he could go away. But I think now you're seeing in his early 30s, you know, his composure is there a lot more often.
Or maybe he's tired.
That could be it, too.
I think you're right about that. Mal Washington, courtside. What do you think, Mal?
Well, I think this is going to be a pretty good matchup. You take Wayne Ferreira. He hasn't been in this situation very often. This is only his 2nd semifinal of a major. But here's a guy who's playing in his 50th major of his career, as is Andre Agassi. And check this out. 49 consecutive majors for Wayne Ferreira. He's played every major since 1991. That's the longest streak of any active player. The only player who's played more consecutive Grand Slams is Stefan Edberg. But Wayne Ferreira, you know, those who really know tennis, they know how good he is. Throughout the early and mid-1990s, here was a guy who had 3 consecutive years inside the top 12 in the world. He had a couple of injuries, including an ankle injury in '97 when he had surgery that kind of derailed things. But Wayne is a very, very solid player with some big shots, especially off the serve and the forehand side.
Thanks, Mal. Notwithstanding the fact that Agassi has a great record against everybody else left in this field, you would have to think that he is a clear favorite to go all the way here in this first slam.
Well, let's look at a couple of the reasons why Agassi's been so good. Our Mass Mutual predictors, Andre Agassi, he's only lost that 1 set to Escudé. The winner error differential has been outstanding, and Andre's kept his errors to a minimum, plus 35 overall. And the key for Andre always is how well he holds serve, and he's held serve 20 straight times. Escudé broke him in the 4th, because you know that Andre's going to get a lot of looks on the return. He's the best returner, along with Hewitt out there. When he's hitting his spots on his serve and taking care of his serve games easily, just puts so much more pressure on his opponent.
So you look at the other guys in this field. You've got this man who's the semi-finalist, and he's never lost him in 10 tries. Then you've got Rainer Schüttler, the German, and he takes on Andy Roddick. I'm not going to ask you for a prediction on that one because you've got a conflict of interest, Patrick. But I wonder how he's going to, you know, you saw him again today. How is he feeling? How's he going to come up? I mean, really, because this was 5 sets of not just normal play, but of huge tennis.
What are you talking about, Cliff? I was Schüttler in 5 in that match. No, I'm just kidding. I think he'll come up well. Roddick had an easy hit today, and he's young, and he looked great at the end of that epic win over Elanawi, and that's the big question. If Roddick's healthy, I think he wins that in a tight 3 or 4 sets. And really, Mary, to me, he's the only one that has the guns to threaten Agassi left in this tournament.
At some majors, you know, every now and then you really get a rogue semifinalist, but at this year's Australian Open, we have 2. Rainer Schüttler and the server.
First ball, best of 5. That Schüttler-Roddick match, Friday, 2 p.m. ESPN. 15 off. Again, Roddick-Schüttler, Friday, 2 p.m. ESPN. And I suggest you tune in because Roddick has become something different.
We talk about the Wayne Ferreira forehand as good as it is, I don't see it matching up that well against Andre Agassi's forehand. Agassi's basically got a 5-hand.
Or he's got two sides, a backhand side and a suicide.
The other advantage, Cliff, for Roddick in that semifinal is that it's going to be at night, be another night match, so that will help his recovery time. And it's supposed to really heat up in the next couple of days, so that should make life more bearable for Andy Roddick as he looks to reach his first Slam final.
Game Ferreira.
Ferreira of South Africa wins the first game. Played a lot, these two, a lot.
If you're Wayne Ferreira, you can only say nobody beats Wayne Ferreira 11 times in a row.
Well, yeah, it's 10-0, and in fact, Wayne Ferreira in 10 meetings has only won 1 set from Andre Agassi. Again, it's his game feeds nicely into the world's #2 player, and sometimes when those matchups happen, there's not that much you can do to change the dynamics.
Love 15.
Okay, how about this question? I know, Patrick, that you're going to groan inwardly, if not outwardly. How about the idea that there's a lot of pressure here on Agassi because the expectation for him to win is so easy?
Well, his wife, Steffi Graf, knows about those expectations as well. I'd be surprised, shocked really, if that played into this match. I think you could make that argument about Agassi's loss at the U.S. Open, that he was tight, that it was a U.S. Open final, but then again, he was playing Pete Sampras, who's sort of been in big matches his nemesis.
Andre Agassi is one of those players who believes, as Billie Jean King does, that pressure is a privilege.
And I think he really means it. I don't think those are just words. He talks about the process.
Kind of goes without saying that Andre Agassi is going to work over the Wayne Ferreira backhand side, the much weaker side, and of course he won't send every ball there. He'll try to open up the court off of Wayne's forehand, but I certainly look to that happening.
Ferreira knows he's going to have to work pretty hard. Mary, didn't you have something on that subject with Beach?
Yeah, I was reading Brad Gilbert, Andre's old coach and former tour player himself, has an article in USA Today. He's been writing some for that newspaper back home. And he put Wayne lives in Berkeley, California now. And that's not too far from, you know, where Brad is, and they keep in touch. And Brad put him on to somebody who's gotten him quite fit for this Grand Slam event. I don't think anyone's fitter than Andre Agassi. But I've always liked how well Ferreira understands the court. He knows where he's got to be.
Game
Agassi holds on. It's one apiece.
Well, speaking of Agassi's team, the man who's meant more to Andre than probably anyone is his trainer, buddy, mentor, this man, Gil Reyes. And I saw Gil about 45 minutes before the match, and I said, well, you know, Andre got the hard hat out tonight. And he said, hey, he said, tonight, he says, all that happened in the past doesn't mean a thing. He said, Wayne's in his biggest match of his life. He said, Andre's got to go to work like he's gone to work every step of the way. And I really believe that Andre has learned so much of that mentality from Gil.
He's a philosopher.
Yes.
He's great. We got him up in the booth in Scottsdale, and he was talking about Andre's game. He was so, I mean, he was just so great. I just want to spend too long there. You know, when you get back there. And then afterwards he said, well, how'd I do? How'd I do?
Right, right. In Scottsdale, we could get him up in the booth. Australian Open semi, no.
15 all.
Sarti 15.
And that's the part of Ferreira's game that Agassi is able to expose, that two-handed backhand side, which under pressure can break down.
No. There's a break point for Agassi. In the other semi-final, Andy Roddick, Rainer Schüttler, the German. I got to believe that Agassi, if he's looking ahead, which I don't think he would admit to, and he may well not be, would probably like to see the kid, Roddick, there, and I think most people would. This kid with a big serve that played this huge match last night. Andy.
Game Agassi.
So there's the first break of serve. It goes to Andre Agassi, 2-1. This is the first set of best-of-5 semi-final underway.
No problem.
It's back and better than ever. The hard-hitting, racket-splitting action won't stop until the last man is standing. Agassi, Sampras, Blake, Haas, Roddick, April 21 through 27th at Westside Tennis Club. Get your tickets now before the red clay starts flying. The U.S. Men's Clay Court Tennis Championship. Tennis just got hotter.
Agassi with a 2-1 lead over Wayne Ferreira of South Africa. This is Agassi about to fire. He's got a break. Crowd milling in here for this first night match. Closing in on the championship round here at Melbourne Park. 2-week event. Rod Laver Arena. Waiting for the folks to settle down behind his line of vision. In fact, they both have that problem. Here we go.
Andre Agassi in his advancing years has become so methodical in the way he goes about his business.
a fussy little man, isn't he?
Yeah, fussy is right on from there. Everything from his training, from his rackets in his bag, from where the ball kids are standing, from where his towel is situated.
I don't think he suffers fools easily either, does he? I mean, if you don't get it right, he'll get harsh with you.
Yeah, he doesn't talk to any of us.
Exactly.
Would have and could have. The guy was 29 years old, and after that he wins all these more slams than before he was 29 years old. Started so late. You wonder what he could have done, huh?
Game Agassi.
Here's Ferreira on playing against Andre Agassi.
It's I don't know, it's weird. I just haven't really played that well. I've played him, most of the time I've played him has been in situations like this where, you know, he's ended up winning the tournaments and playing great tennis. And, you know, this week, he's basically steamrolled through everybody and he's playing great tennis.
Right, first service.
Cliff, like Wayne Ferreira, you're South African. Do you feel that this guy who has so many talents ever really lived up to him? I'm not sure I think so.
No, to answer your question, Mary, I left South Africa in 1970, so I'm a very proud, true blue U.S. citizen these days. It's been a long time. However, that is where I learned to play tennis, and I do follow Wayne. And no, I think he could have done more with his talent.
Is that he didn't work hard enough, or he didn't have the requisite coaching, or
I think Patrick sort of nailed it there earlier when he said that sometimes he just doesn't stay with a match. Having said that, the guy's played 50 slams. He's been in the semi-final of a slam before. He's always around. I think he's a very dangerous player to play against.
Well, Pete Sampras knows that. I mean, he's beaten Sampras numerous times in his career. But tennis in so many ways is being a one-on-one individual sport is a lot about matchups. And Ferreira's game is just a much poorer version of Agassi's. It doesn't match up. It was sort of like the Borg-Vilas matchup. You know, obviously Vilas was a better player in his day than Ferreira. Agassi continuing to expose that backhand.
4-1 Agassi, a couple of breaks. He'll serve and we come back to our coverage here of the semi-final. It's the Australian Open. Andre Agassi with 2 breaks to serve over Wayne Ferreira of South Africa in the semi-final. Tonight there's regional NHL action on at 8 Eastern on ESPN. Joe Thornton and the Bruins meet Mario Lemieux's Pittsburgh Penguins. Or in your area, you may see a Western Conference battle between the Blues and the Blackhawks. NHL is on ESPN Thursday night. Hey, Mal.
Guys, just to elaborate on what you were saying a moment ago about Wayne Ferreira, he has 14 career titles and 8 final appearances, and it is a little bit surprising that he hasn't done better in the majors than he has, this being only a second semifinal. But earlier in his career, one of the problems that he had was just a mental problem. I played him several times in the early 90s, and he could always be broken down from a mental standpoint. He always had the game, especially off the forehand and backhand side, and knowing what his limits were on the court, and he would play to those limits. But I think as his career has gone on, he's just become just a very, very good player who is dangerous at times that could never do it in the majors. And Patrick, you mentioned his record against Pete Sampras. Pete has beaten him 7 times. He has beaten Sampras 6 times.
Nevertheless, sort of interesting to compare the two. Talking earlier about Agassi making his real move as one of the history players. Historians are going to have to talk about Agassi. There's no denying it. He's won all 4 slams. He's only one of 5 to have done that. He's got 5-1 here.
And Cliff, we used to speak back in the day when Agassi was a lot hairier. We used to speak about how there was just a generous squandering of talent in him. And now he lives up to every single bit of himself. He has certainly become the man and the player that he should always have been. And again, and then there are players like Ferreira, perhaps, who's his own worst enemy, who hasn't been able to do that. But as Mel said, and rightly so, and Ferreira has been a very successful pro for a long, long time. He's a wealthy millionaire.
Almost 10 million.
An extremely wealthy millionaire.
But he's not, I mean, he's not a guy you think about, in my mind, Mary, as you see this good first serve from Wayne, his first days. I don't look at him as much as squandering his talent, because I don't think he has the talent really to be a Grand Slam winner. I mean, I think he could have snuck into another semi or maybe a final here or there, but I don't look at him as a big underachiever.
Ferreira, now I don't know if that's a compliment or not. Trying to figure it out. 5 to Agassi for the first set when we come back. Rod Laver Arena, this is Melbourne Park, everyone, and Wayne Ferreira and Andre Agassi locked in a battle for a place in the... Maybe they're not really locked in a battle. It's been all Agassi so far. 2 breaks of serve, 5-2 serving for the first set, but the winner goes to the final, the championship match.
Agassi, Cliff, continuing to take care of that serve so cleanly. And again, it's a first serve. It's over, let's see it now, about 80%, just under 80% on the first serve. And hitting his spots, and, you know, if you don't return well, if you let it sit up, he's just picking his spot. There it is again, sliding that one up the middle. I really think that since the new Agassi, the transformation, you know, in the last 5-6 years, Mary, I think the biggest improvement in his game stroke-wise is the serve, and that comes from the legs, because he's not a natural server.
Yep.
but he pushes up with those legs, and he uses those legs to spin it out wide, to kick it out wide.
40-15.
His fitness has affected every single part of his game. And he gets the kinetics of his serve are so solid. Real nice rotation, hips and shoulders. Very strong stomach.
But it's been
it doesn't break, like, look at it. It's so simple, isn't it?
Correct. Hold on.
But he doesn't have that natural big bomb of a serving motion like a Sampras or, you know, a big server.
But it's good enough to set up his ground.
Sure, that's the key, you know. And the second serve, despite double faulting there, has gotten a lot more mustard on it, much better placement. Yep.
Two breaks and Steffi Graf gives Agassi a hand. Her husband 6-2, set 2. We come back to Melbourne.
Welcome back to Melbourne. Andre Agassi 2 sets away from the final. Takes just 24 minutes to lead this thing 6-2. Faced only one break point, and you're up here saying maybe Wayne Ferreira needs to adjust the old game plan, try something, huh?
Well, at 1 set in 10 matches, I think I'd change my hair, my racket, my underwear, my girlfriend, whatever it takes. Get to net. Start hitting winners. Did he not watch Escudé and Agassi's match? The only guy who's threading Agassi out here? You've got to take extreme risk against Agassi. If you do not have a chance.
He's been down before and come back, but again, not against Mr. Agassi. Cliff?
Thank you, Chris. This is first point of the second set. Changes go.
His wife might hear that.
Son Marcus William, born in 99, on the day that he was born, actually, October 26th.
Well, this is what Jim Kerr's talking about. I mean, just go for some big shots, especially with that forehand side. That's his weapon. He's got to try to do something to just disrupt the Agassi rhythm.
Yeah, the problem is that unlike Escudé, Wayne Ferreira does not have a naturally attacking hard-court game. Escudé can really come in on his serve in ways that Ferreira will just never do.
There's the all-timer, the Rocket. Rod Laver, this arena named after him, won 2 slams.
So nice to see him back here.
His face, along with that of Margaret Court, is going to grace a stamp here in Australia. How big a privilege is that? Nobody deserves one better than the Rocket.
How nice that we've got 2 of the 5 players in the building that have won all 4 slams.
Hey, Fiery! There he is.
The fiery Fred Stolle.
His wife Pat there, and they're sitting next to the Rocket.
Another one of the Aussie greats.
As Ferreira holds on, he's got 1 game to love. Semi-final of the men's singles here at the Australian Open this year, the year's first slam. Second week. In fact, we're closing in on the end of the second week now with Andre Agassi in the semi-final, leading easily a set with 2 breaks. Ferreira has 1 game in the second. talking earlier about South Africa. South African tennis is really in bad shape because, well, Wayne Ferreira has really held that whole Davis Cup team together, and then he didn't play for a couple of years, and they haven't won a match in a while. It's really sad for me to see, really sad, because we've had some great players as you look at the greatest of all from Australia. But we had the Hewitt-McMillan combination. Remember how great they were? Eric Sturgis a long time ago. Then Gordon Forbes and Abe Siegel. Gordon wrote a book basically about Abe, which was great. Ray Moore.
Oh, Sophie.
The country's top player not playing Davis Cup? What's going on, Cliff?
Oh, he did for a long time. He really did. He got them back in the world group after they came back, you know, after all years have been...
The Black brothers were in there.
Zimbabwe.
Oh, Zimbabwe, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ferreira had to go for it there. Is getting himself to love 30 in this game with some risky stuff.
15.
But it's more desperation than risk. I mean, that's not what he wants to try to do out there. And those rallies, though, he might win the odd one every now and then, Wayne Ferreira. I mean, basically, he's going too far for too little if he tries that against Andre Agassi.
Agassi holds on, so it's one game apiece first set under Agassi. Here's Ferreira to serve. We'll have live coverage of this women's doubles finals, the two singles finalists, Serena and Venus playing together, seeded 1. And Mary, I guess Rana Pascal and Suarez weren't real happy about that, so they have something to prove.
Yeah, they do. I don't know how well they're going to prove it, frankly. Rana Pasquale and Suarez are the #1 doubles team in the world. They play an awful lot, and they win a lot of events. And Ruano Pasquale especially was not happy that they only got seeded #2 behind the Williamses, who really only play the majors together.
Well, now they get their chance.
Well, yeah. I mean, earlier today, the Williams sisters, again, even with the sister with the blister, they went out there a couple hours after Serena won her singles match and took down Davenport and Lisa Raymond 2-2.
Oof. What a run by Agassi.
Yeah. That was a beautiful volley.
Trouble for Ferreira serving love 30.
I mean, watch this. That's a very tough volley.
He's taken Jim Courier's advice coming to the net, but that didn't help him on that point.
Well, at least he's trying now. He's gone luck to crank a couple of forehands.
Planning your weekend's viewing, you are warmly invited to join us for the women's singles final, 9:30 Friday night. Williams sisters again. This is the 4th straight slam final. They play against each other, and then on Saturday night, who will be in the men's final? Andre Agassi.
Yes.
Or Wayne Ferreira. They take on Rainer Schuttler or Andy Roddick.
see Andre Agassi inspecting his strings there in his racket. And in fact, he switched to this string, which is very popular now amongst the players. That sort of dark color just right before the Italian Open started in Rome. And he got a racket strung up, started hitting with it. Said, man, I feel like I can't miss with this stuff. And of course, went on to win the Italian Open for the first time in his career. And has stuck with it ever since. Called Luxilon is the name of the string.
You tried it?
I've tried it, yeah.
You can't miss either with it?
Oh, that's unbelievable. I hit against that wall.
Serve called fault. Wayne hesitates, but second serve coming at break point.
And what it does is it puts a little more spin on the ball. A lot of the players that have big whippy strokes, whippy swings use it. And Agassi feels like he can really take a big cut at the ball and still control it.
I'll only say hats off to Wayne Ferreira. He is running after everything. He's having trouble, obviously, but it is great to see him just sweating with every ounce of energy he's got. At least leave it all out there. Break point again for Agassi. A lot of pressure on the return of serve from Agassi, isn't there? 2-1 Agassi. First set, 6-2 for a man trying to get to his fourth final here.
ESPN's exclusive coverage of the Australian Open continues from Melbourne.
A spectacular night. The weather has really cooperated so far. It's going to apparently get really hot this weekend. You can see those two retractable roof stadium. Now we're in one of them. It's Rod Laver, Agassi serving. 15,000 people in here, and this tournament is now basically sold out, the Laver Arena, from day one. Hugely successful slam.
In a perfect Wayne world, this would happen more often, actually getting a short ball from Andre Agassi that he can go after and finish the point with.
This world's not on anymore, is it? That was some years
You could get
ago.
tapes. Let's just say that this Wayne's stuck in the basement.
30-15.
Let me fill you in, Cliff. That's a show they used to do. It was in their basement.
Cliff obviously has no idea what you're talking
I
about.
have absolutely no idea, but I love listening to it anyway. 40-15 Agassi. Wayne Ferreira, prior to the start of the tournament in Sydney, went to a boxing session, a training session of Costa Zoo, the super lightweight world champion from Australia, the WBC, WBA, and IBF divisions, and they stayed with him through a training session. In fact, Costa Zoo had a win over Jesse James Leha of the USA on, I guess it was Saturday night.
Last weekend, yeah.
And then Wayne says it was incredible to see Costa Zoo's warm-down routine after training. Any other athlete would probably look at it as a full workout.
He bench pressed Wayne a couple hundred times.
There we go.
Agassi holds on, and it's a 3-1 lead for Agassi in the second set. First set 6-2.
I guess I'm glad in a way because it's in a boxing match because it'd be over. It'd be a TKO.
I shall invoke an Aussie expression that pretty much captures my mood about Wayne's chances of winning. If he wins, I'll walk backwards to Burke with my pants down.
Come on, Wayne.
No.
And then we were talking that cricket thing the other day, and I was going to bring it up, and then I thought, no, I can't stand to see that bemused look on Carrillo and McEnroe's face. I'm not even going to go there. 15 all.
Against most players, this would be a pretty decent second serve. Pretty deep in the box, stretching his opponent out wide, but Agassi just munches on it. Takes it early. And he's got 17 winners already. Only 9 unforced errors for Agassi.
A1 and an A2 for ESPN emails me today, says, thanks for the reminder that it's cricket season down under. I'm now watching the score on the internet while you, Mary, and Patrick are talking about it on air. Ferreira is in a deep hole now, and that's what he thinks of it. 4-1 Agassi, he'll serve his upper set.
I'm better now because I'm a better athlete now. I'm stronger now, I'm fitter now. Every day you gotta go out there and prove it. As you get older, you start realizing that these aren't just weeks playing tennis, these are weeks of your life. It's the greatest thing, being a father. It's a phenomenal discovery every day. Hopefully I always enjoy the game, but in 10 years I'll be caught up in a hectic day trying to make sure the kids are picked up from school on time.
4-1 Agassi, 6-2 first set to Agassi, 15 love. He has become as articulate a spokesperson for tennis and for himself and for what makes a champion an athlete as anyone in sports, Agassi, now.
40 long.
That's just too tough there. Ferreira, two-hander, sidling over there to hit it with one out of reach. 5-1 Agassi, 6-2 first set. Demolition underway here in the semi-final, the Australian Open.
And Agassi's record in slam semis, you know, has just gotten so much better since he's turned 29. Look at this, he's 6-2, and he won that French Open, by the way, in '99. He had just turned 29.
Fans here cheering, trying to get Wayne to make this more of a match.
15-30.
All right, Wayne, you got a point. That time he stepped into the backhand for probably the first time all day.
And this is his 4th forehand winner. He makes his money hitting a lot more than that.
Game point. Agassi just rushes you on every swing. Ferreira just catching that forehand a little bit late, as Agassi's combination of power and how early he takes the ball is just devastating.
And because he moves so well, Patrick,
Yep.
he has control over all that power.
And the movement also helps him take the ball even as early as he does. He gets there so quickly.
Ferreira holds on, but he's in serious trouble as Agassi's got a couple of breaks. He's serving here at 5-2. First set, Agassi 6-2.
Agassi will serve for the second set here in Melbourne, where there's nothing quite like Super Bowl Monday morning. Of course, the real thing, Super Bowl 37. There it is in the Buccaneers. 6 o'clock Eastern Time Sunday on ABC Sports. John Gruden's new team versus his old one. Super Bowl on ABC. All the news leading up to it on SportsCenter every day and every night this week.
Agassi for the second set here.
Super Bowl Sunday is Monday morning for us, and how many times, Cliffy, have we been at the Billabong Bar at the Melbourne airport watching the beginning of the Super Bowl?
We always get like the first quarter, quarter and a half.
Oh, nice catch.
Well, at least Ferreira's back there scrapping and fighting for everything, but he is just completely overmatched.
30-15 Agassi. The first time Agassi won this Australian. Remember that unbelievable match that he played. You watched the ace again against Pete Sampras. That huge tiebreak in the third set won by Agassi. He won it in 4 sets. And then, but the last time he played the last 2 finals against Yevgeny Kafelnikov. Kafelnikov won the first set against him, and then he just ran away with it. And then against Clement was another whitewash 2 years ago.
Oh, that's just unbelievable stuff.
Aren't you supposed to be rushed when you're hitting a shot like that?
Agassi's coach, Darren Cahill, just the balance there from Agassi on the dead run is just incredible.
Set points for Agassi. Had a great match with Courier here, Andre, on this court too. Remember that 5-set in the quarterfinal before Chang beat him? It was in 70.
Yeah, second set, Agassi. 6 minutes to 2 ball change, please.
Excuse me, it was in 96. This is the Yarra River. Nice restaurants along there.
ESPN's exclusive coverage of the Australian Open continues from Melbourne.
Here in Melbourne, Andre Agassi just a set away now from a spot in the final opposite either Roddick or Schutler. Yet you seem to be very concerned about Andre's game at this point. Tell me why.
I'm very concerned for Andre, frankly. I mean, he's purported to be the fittest guy on tour, and I think he is, but the problem is these 2 weeks are going to hurt his fitness. I mean, he's not getting enough of a workout out there. I hope he's going to the weight room on the days off. I hope he's getting some good long runs in, because this just isn't getting it done for him. I mean, this could hurt him the rest of the year. I think we better watch that going forward for Andre.
Only 52 minutes so far from a concerned Jim. I'm Chris, back inside.
Well, I think we all thought from the beginning this match had 2-2-1 written all over it.
This man has not changed his expression once. Gil Reyes, Andre's trainer.
The gentle giant. Tell the Reyes story again. He was the coach. He was the coach, not the coach, the trainer of the basketball team in Las Vegas.
Strength trainer at UNLV. That's right. Andre went in there when he was just a teenager, looking for doing some off-court work, some training, and he hooked up with Gil.
He was just browsing that day.
He had just finished his trip to McDonald's. Andre used to live on junk food. Boy, how that's changed.
Nice. 6th ace.
Good smooth motion, and it tailed off very, very well.
Game point.
Another beauty.
Ferreira's on the board. 1 game in the 3rd. 2 sets to Agassi.
Well, our shot spot does a little bit of everything, so we're really looking for some action here. This is Agassi with his service returns. Now the black are second serves. Look where he takes the ball out of the air from. Almost everyone is inside the baseline. The yellows are first serve returns. Agassi's so strong and capable of taking that ball early. And
forward thinking.
Exactly. We're always forward thinking here, Mary.
So on the ad court, he's never behind the baseline for either first or second.
Stretched out wide a little bit in that deuce court a couple of times.
watching him stalking the baseline after we've just made that point there. He's...
What I'll be really interested to see is when Agassi plays a huge server, where he's what our shot spot shows there. And no, I'm not looking to the Roddick Agassi final.
Roddick will be in the other semi-final against Rainer Schüttler, and that match you can see tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN.
Well, Schüttler says of his own game that his serve is his biggest weakness. Good news for Andy Roddick, whose return game can be very, very powerful, especially when he's holding well.
All things being equal, that is a Roddick gimme, but with as hard as he had to work, his last match against Jonas Ellenowy, that's the question.
Not to mention the round before that, Cliff, 2 sets down against Mikhail Yuzny. So Roddick's played about 8.5 hours of tennis in his last 2 matches. A couple of South African former players there. Marcus Andruska on the right.
Semi-finalist at what used to be the Lipton, that's now the NASDAQ one year. Agassi holds on, and it's 1 game all, 2 sets to love for Agassi. Semi-final from Rod Laver Arena of the Slam. It has been very solid display from Agassi. So different last night's effort. 5 sets of drama from ball 1. Shot making's there, but no drama tonight.
15 all.
Showed you the differential of Agassi throughout the tournament, plus 35, and he's continuing to impress in that department. I mean, Ferreira's numbers aren't terrible. It's only a -2.
But Agassi's in 3rd gear.
Yeah, exactly. The only time that Agassi's had to take it up to 4th or 5th, Mary, has been that Escudé match in the 3rd round, really.
Yes.
And I must say that Agassi is probably remiss when he looks at all the years he missed coming to Australia in the first 4, 5, 6 years of his career.
Well, he didn't show up at Wimbledon for a few years either.
Yeah, but this surface is tailor-made for Agassi's game. Good 1-2 from Ferreira. I mean, Agassi's won Wimbledon, and been deep into the tournament a few times, but nowhere near as dominant on that surface as he is here on this rebound ace. This rubbery surface, the ball bounces perfectly every time, right up in the strike zone.
Ferreira, 2 sets to Agassi. Back in a minute.
Drive through, please.
I had a shake with that.
It's back and better than ever. The hard-hitting, racket-splitting action won't stop until the last man is standing. Agassi, Sampras, Blake, Haas, Roddick, April 21 through 27th at Westside Tennis Club. Get your tickets now before the red clay starts flying. The U.S. Men's Clay Court Tennis Championship. Tennis just got hotter.
Out of chocolate! Sampras here to defend his title. Andre Agassi's first Australian Open. It's just a magnificent slug fest. Agassi number 2 in the world. Sampras number 1. It could not be closer. 1 set all.
Been all Agassi since the end of the first set.
Sampras holds on. Tiebreak time is the third set. 5 points in a row. Set point here for Sampras. What a shot. Agassi's still alive. He got it. Agassi is a 2-set to 1 lead. Sampras tried to press a little bit, but Agassi came through with some brilliant stuff. Championship point for Agassi. He just did it. This has been a tournament to remember as Andre Agassi wins it in 4 sets.
That is the toughest final that Andre Agassi has had here. Trying to get to a final here for the 4th time, Agassi.
Speaking of Pete Sampras, how about Pete announcing that he is in fact playing the French Open, trying to make a go of it with not a lot of preparation going in, but he figures he might as well give it one more go.
Sounds like Mary's going to play a full winter-spring schedule in North America, and not play too many clay court events, but 1 or 2 leading up to the French.
Very interesting to see how he plays. I think he's not going to have much pressure on him. He just wins the U.S. Open. I think it'd be tough. Not sure about the clay, but spring circuit in the U.S. will be tough. Indian Wells. Pacific Life Open, and then the NASDAQ after that. Agassi holds on, even, 2 games apiece, second set. From Laver Arena, this is the Australian Open. Drysdale here, Patrick McEnroe and Mary Carrillo alongside. Now Washington at courtside. This is Andre Agassi in the semi-final of the men's singles. First semi-final of this event in the singles. In the men's singles, women's final is all set. Williams sisters. This is Ferreira. Serving, 2 games apiece. First 2 sets to Agassi, 2 breaks in each set, 6-2, 6-2.
Not been able to win too many cheap points for Ferreira with that first serve. He's only 64% points won with that first. not enough consistent gas on that first delivery to really bother Agassi. That's Ferreira's first backhand winner of the match.
Yes.
Takes so much focus point for point for Wayne Ferreira. You know, you kind of feel like with Andre, it's a practice session, kind of batting practice. For Wayne, every single point is expensive. He's tried hard to win this game.
116 on the Porsche. This is game point.
That's some good serving.
Ferreira's got the lead. We're on serve. Agassi will serve in the third. His eye is on the ball. 3-2 Ferreira. Last year, Andy Roddick said, I don't understand why people are so interested in me. I haven't done that much. Well, he's done plenty now after what happened last night. Well, Andy Roddick will take on Rainer Schüttler of Germany tomorrow, 2 p.m. Andy Roddick, Rainer Schüttler in the semifinal of the men's. There's a look at the German, Rainer Schüttler, Roddick's opponent tomorrow. Andy Roddick's historic win. 21-19 in the fifth.
Agassi looking like he wants to finish this off quickly. I mean, he's playing pretty conservatively here. He's going mostly to the Ferreira backhand, just trying to wear the South African out quickly. He's really trying to wear him out more mentally, just by continuing to just barrage his weaker side.
Don't you think so much of this was already a locker room win? I mean, I think Wayne knew something extraordinary had to happen for him to change his 0-10 history against Andre.
Yeah, look at that. Well, when you play Andre Agassi this deep in a tournament now, you know you're going to get nothing but the best from Agassi, and Ferreira just knows that his best can't compete with Andre's.
This place really is, this 15,000-seat arena here is jammed. Let's go to Mel.
You know, Cliff, you look at this match and it's a complete, you know, waxing, you know, on the part of Andre Agassi. But if I were Wayne, what I would try to do as he continues to hold throughout this set, hopefully he can just hold all the way to 5. But I would gamble a lot more than he is on his own serve. I would maybe take some second serves of Andre's and try to come a little bit just to give him a little different look. He has nothing to lose right now.
He's done a good job of holding in this set. But Agassi seems totally unworried.
Much pressure on you. You serve against Agassi, and he's tough enough to return on the first serve return, but you missed the first one, and then you're on your heels, baby. Up 15.
He can't hold his serve easily, Ferreira. Though again, he hasn't dropped it yet in this set. Agassi is serving at 75%. 75% hasn't been broken. In fact, he's only faced one break point. I mean, if that's not a comfort serve, what is?
Eighth ace from Ferreira. Claws his way back to 30 all. Continuing to have to struggle on serve. Well, when you become desperate, you try silly things. Agassi's good hustle forced Ferreira into a...
Are these fans cheering for Wayne because they think he can come back, or do they just want to see more of Agassi, or do they want to see Agassi have to play his best ball?
I don't think we're going to see much more of Agassi's ball here because he's got the break in the third. 6-2, 6-2. Agassi, he'll serve, and we come back to the semi-final on Rod Laver.
Our Pacific Life between the lines. Andre Agassi just dominating this match throughout. It was Wayne Ferreira, who we said at the beginning needed to hit his big forehand to have it shot, but it's been Agassi that has 11 forehand winners, only 4 for the South African. Andre Agassi just steamrolling his way to yet another appearance in a Grand Slam final. 2 games away now. Agassi taking care of his serve. 11 forehand winners, as I mentioned. A few backhands thrown in for good measure.
Oh, man. And overhead thrown in for good measure.
50 on. For service.
Pity about this being so one-sided because it is a huge stage. Just 2 players here battling best of 5 sets for a spot in the final. This is going out in ESPN International, also obviously to you in the US. We have a world feed that goes to countries all over the world as well. And
Agassi's dropping Ferreira like a sack of spuds.
Yeah. Well, let's say we had a balance last night, didn't we?
We sure did. We had enough excitement to last us a while. Somehow I think there's still a few more fireworks left. This lady knows a little bit about Grand Slam weekends. And as for Agassi's headed for the 4th time.
Second break point here for Wayne Ferreira. Down a break in the 3rd. Agassi's up 2 sets to none.
And that serve from Agassi under pressure just seems to always be there. 74%. And it's not exactly just spinning that first one in.
Advantage Agassi.
As we're talking about the technique on Agassi's serve, and you were saying there's not much that can go wrong with it, and it's true. If you watch his ball toss, it's only about as high as where he makes contact with it. He can throw the ball up in exactly that spot every time. Pretty flat serve. Like that one there. Third chance for Ferreira on a break point. You know, talk as much as you like about the serve, but it's how early Agassi hits the ball off the ground like that is really the key to his success. He says, my dad Mike is the one who gets the credit. He taught me to work on picking up the ball early, take it early, and to keep my strokes as efficient as possible. And that started a long time ago.
Mike Agassi built a tennis court for his brood, and then like jerry-rigged ball machines so that they would feed faster and harder, and he had 5 going at once.
Which he still uses, by the way, Mike. And Andre holds on. 5-3.
Agassi leads 5 games this week.
Look at that. These are Agassi's first serves, the placement. The red ones are the aces. But again, you can see he doesn't need to overserve. He just picks his way around the box. There's not one of them that's a nice neutral serve fat up the middle, is there?
That's what Andre likes to call spreading it out. Spreading the defense. And forcing his opponent out wide as often as he can and as quickly as he can. And then the kill shots into the open court.
Yeah, in a way, that's the only way that Ferreira was going to make any impression on Agassi, and that's going for the first strike as soon as he gets a shot. Just putting it back in play, as he's done for most of the night, is just inviting disaster, because Agassi, I mean, he's not going to miss. Like that sort of defense, you know, that's not going to do it, and it hasn't. Ferreira 2 points away from going down.
And you get the feeling that now Agassi thinking about just unloading on a few balls to get ready for the final.
40.
He says he's got to deal with this young lady to play mixed doubles with the French if he wins the Australian.
She better start warming up.
Yeah. Get that big forehand of hers going. We'll play the forehand court for that team.
Thank you.
Match point here for Agassi.
30-40.
A feeling that will fill a few seats at Roland Garros, that mixed doubles first round.
Use. Back for service. Advantage, Agassi.
Another match point. 31 winners against 12 unforced for Agassi, and on the same column, 21 winners, 28 unforced for Ferreira.
Game, set, match, and Agassi. 2 sets off. 6-2, 6-2, 6-3.
Pretty flashy ending, but not much flash was needed during the match.
Now, like we said about Agassi, his coach is going to do his bows.
Yeah.
From the first ball strike, it was methodical for Agassi, and sort of unloaded on a few balls in that last game, because if he takes on the young American Andy Roddick, which I expect will happen, he'll be up against a lot more firepower in his 4th Australian Open final.
We have a finalist here in the men's. Roddick will play Schuttler, the German, to play against Agassi in the final. In the women's, it's the Williams sisters. This is the Australian Open. We are closing in on the championship weekend. Steffi Graf giving Andre Agassi a hand. Agassi in straight sets, no contest, 6-2, 6-2, 6-3 over South Africa's Wayne Ferreira.
Let us congratulate